Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are doing well. Today is a very exciting video for me because I am revealing my book, Witch in the Water, which got published on October 6th. And yes, I waited like a whole week and a half to actually make a video and publish it on YouTube about my book. However, I'm super excited to share this with you today. So yeah. So if I sound a little weird in this video, it is because I am slightly sick. Seasonal allergies are no fun, and I have taken so much medication recently, and I still feel very sick. So anyway, for today's video, I wanted to answer some questions in regards to my book. Yes, this entire video will be about my book, but it's something that I really wanted to do and kind of like discuss a little bit more. This is my first fiction novel, fully published fiction novel. I have made a poetry book before, but poetry is a bit different because I took a collection of poems that I had written over the years and kind of just organized them into a sort of story. But with this, I wrote the novel beginning to end. If you're interested in knowing how my process is for writing a novel, I do have a video for that I can link in the description below, and it just goes step by step on how to write a novel and kind of enter the publication process. So first, I wanted to talk about how my book, the cover was designed by me, and as well as the back. There are a few things that I might change in the future, but as of right now, this works, and I'm relatively proud of it actually. It looks really good and it makes me feel really good. I self-published, so the book is published on Amazon and Ingram Spark, so I kind of have it on a couple different platforms, and yeah, so it's also on Amazon in the ebook version, so if you want to buy the ebook version instead, you totally can. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and answer a few questions in regards to this book. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't anticipate it being very long, but since I am bogged down with work at the moment, especially since I work in the freelance field and I do a lot of writing, holiday season is always a really big season, and so I am kind of slammed with projects at the moment, so I'm hoping that I can crank out these YouTube videos just as easily as I had before, even if they're a bit shorter. Okay. So I have all of the questions here on my phone, so I'm going to try to answer them one by one as best as I can. So I moved the book. It's now here. I have a lot of mess because I've been decorating for Halloween, so everything's kind of a mess. I have a bunch of pumpkins in my house at the moment, so we're just going to overlook that, and let's just begin with the questions. Okay. So the first question. Can you share with us something about the book that isn't in the blurb? Yes, in multiple ways, more than one. So actually I have a free excerpt of the first chapter on my landing page for the book, which I will link below, and you can read the first chapter for free. I also have, since it's part of Kindle Unlimited KDP Select thing, since it's part of that program, you can actually read up to 40 or 50 of the pages for free, so that's a good chunk of the book. Like 50 pages is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters, so that's cool. But I can share with you a few other things just for funsies. So in the blurb, it focuses mostly on Nina and how she enters the school, which is what the entire first part of the book is about, because you follow Nina first, but there are other characters within the book, and I can talk about Lene, who is part of part 2, and her story is less centered around becoming acquainted with the school and becoming acquainted with the group of witches, and it's more so focused on the internal struggles that you have between yourself and your friends, like where you know, focusing on loneliness, depression, and also focusing on being a little more open-minded to potential threats than your friends might be. In particular, Lene, when a strange man comes on campus, she's the one that's most affected by his presence, so she tends to jump to more conclusions than the rest. Can you share a snippet that isn't in the blurb or excerpt? Let's just open the page. I mean, this is all about like what's not in the blurb or excerpt, but let's just open it to a random page. Okay, and I guess I will read whatever is on this page. Alright, okay, so Lene felt the sun warming her cheeks as she laid on the blanket in the grass. Late September had cascaded across Maine, giving the entire campus one last glimpse of summer sun. She reached out her right hand to graze her fingertips across the thin tops of the grass. The blades were dry and shriveling, an omen to the coming winter. Tonight, the girls had decided to meet up for a small ritual and a relaxed girls' night. Ronnie had messaged the group chat only hours ago, claiming that she needed to vent about the suppression of thought within some of her classes. Well, her exact words were, "These assholes don't allow any sort of challenge to any of their stupid, antiquated beliefs. Meet me in my room tonight, and no, I don't care if you have a 9 a.m. class tomorrow." Boom. Alright. Does one of the main characters hold a special place in your heart? If so, why? I feel like I've answered this in my Instagram video when I asked people to ask me questions about my book before it was published, but yes, Lene, who I just read about, she is my favorite. Well, maybe not my favorite, but she's one of my favorites. I feel like I resonate with her most. Her personality is very similar to my own, and I kind of used myself as a reference when it came to her story, or at least her attitudes towards life. She's a planner by nature, she's very organized, and she tends to jump to too many conclusions and gets really stressed out really easily, so that's like very similar to me, so yeah. What was the inspiration for the story? I also answered this question on Instagram, but my story, oh, and Goodreads. I answered this question on Goodreads too. But my inspiration for the story actually came from scrolling through dark academia aesthetics on Pinterest. I was just going through Pinterest, scrolling through these aesthetics because I really want to have like that kind of outfit aesthetic. Not so much when it comes to like my home. I'm very much bohemian and crafty with my home, but for my outfit, I love the classic dark academia look. And so I was going through that, and I started thinking about a girls' school, like boarding school, and I was like, ooh, it'd be cool if there were witches. And the whole story just started out as like a fun little idea, and I had no intention of writing a short story or writing anything about it. Eventually I decided to write about it because I kept playing with this idea, and I was like, okay, this is just gonna be a short story. And then it got longer, and I was like, okay, it's just gonna be a novella, like 40,000 words. And then it exceeded that, and I was like, all right, it's a novel, that's fine. So, but it was an interesting kind of thing. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I've never really had that happen to me before because most books are planned as far as, I mean, like I said, I'm like Lene, I plan everything. So most things are planned, and this was very spontaneous, which I thought was really interesting. What is the key theme and or message in the book? I'm not sure if there's exactly a key theme, but one of my favorite themes that exists in the book is kind of this idea that magic doesn't solve everything. I think a lot of us go through life hoping that there's like a magic solution, a magic answer, like we just want things to be taken care of, like quickly, and we don't want to put a lot of work or effort into it. And I think that a lot of the girls in this book, they do the same thing. Particularly Ronnie, she kind of uses magic as an answer for everything, and throughout the book, as you kind of like get to know the girls and you read each of their parts, you start to kind of see this pattern of them trying to solve all of their problems with magic, and it only makes the situation worse. And in the end, when anything does get properly solved, it's not solved through the use of magic, it's just kind of solved through brains and bronze. A lot of the times when things get really scary, they tend to kind of fight, like physically fight their way out of the situation, and it works better than if they were to use some kind of magical spell. And when it comes to kind of solving the mystery in general, that deals more with them using their heads rather than using magic to kind of solve the whole problem. And I think that's kind of a big theme for me. It's just kind of like, the big theme for that book was just kind of to understand that sometimes you have to work for your answers. You have to work towards the things that you want, and that they don't just come magically out of the air, you know, and I think that was a really big thing that I was kind of pushing. Other themes, I would think friendship and sisterhood is a very big theme, like just being there for one another, trying to understand each other, even though you have different backgrounds and all kinds of things. So, you know, it's a very interesting, like, I loved building the bond between all of the characters. They all have different relationships with one another, and they all kind of have different views on life, and yet they're still best friends, and I thought that was just a really fun thing to write about. Okay, what do you hope your readers take away from this book? I hope my readers just like this story as like a fun little story. I hope they read it and they enjoy, you know, traveling with Nina, Lene, Ronnie, Naya, and Quinn. I hope they just find like they go through the parts of the book and, you know, they enjoy the whole thrills, the mystery, the magic, the witchcraft. I think it's a fun read. It's not really meant to teach anybody any lessons or anything. It's just a nice little spooky read for Halloween, and I really hope that people take away a little bit of enjoyment from reading it. It's a really good book to read during this season since it is a little creepy, and a big part of this book is set in Halloween, so I think that I just want my readers to take away a little bit of fun. What is the significance of the title? Again, another question asked on my Instagram Q&A, but Witch in the Water, it's funny because, like I said, I got inspired by Dark Academia, so at first I just called the manuscript or the PDF, well, the Word document, I just called it Dark Academia because I didn't know what else to call it. And again, it wasn't really supposed to be anything. If it was going to be a short story, I probably would have left it Dark Academia, but a particular scene in this book blatantly involves a witch in the water, and it's one of the key scenes throughout this entire series, and it's very thematic, very moving, and I really enjoyed writing that scene. And it wasn't until after I wrote that scene that I realized how important it was to the story, and I was like, that's a perfect title, Witch in the Water. And I remember coming up with the title, and I really liked when I wrote it. The sentence says that it says, and in the water waited a witch, or something like that. And it was very I love the alliteration in it. I love the WWW, like, back to back. And so I really liked that for the title as well. But I remember showing my friends the title and, like, some of the early cover images, which were very bad. And a lot of, one of my friends was like, there better be a witch drowning in the water or something in your story, or the title's not going to make any sense. And no, unfortunately, nobody drowns in this story, but, you know, there's a witch in the water at some point. So, again, it was kind of like a play on alliteration, and that's why I really liked the title. What is the future for the characters? Will there be a sequel? So there will not be a sequel as far as I know. I guess it kind of depends on how well this book sells, but at the moment I have no intention of writing a sequel. It's kind of its own standalone piece. It does kind of leave off in a place where a sequel could be made afterwards, but I'm not entirely sure where I would want to go with it. There's definitely the potential for a sequel to be made, but I don't know if I really want to do that. As far as my characters go, I don't want to spoil anything, but some of them they're all going to end up sticking together eventually despite how life moves, and some of them are going to kind of have more issues than others when it comes to moving on from everything that happened. So, I mean, their futures are bright enough, but, you know, as a paranormal mystery novel goes, it's kind of grim right now. That's it. That's all I have to say. Was the writing process different, and what challenges did you face writing in this genre? Yeah, so how is it different from writing in my previous genre? Well, I'm used to actually writing short stories for college. I did a lot of short stories, and I'm used to doing poetry for my poetry book, so this is totally different. I've never really, I think I've written a paranormal mystery once, and I was like a freshman in high school. That book never saw the light of day, and it probably never will, but I did write an entire paranormal mystery then, but it's not a genre that I tend to write in a lot of, and I wasn't really sure what to do with it because I didn't know how to keep it realistic while also kind of making it magical and fun, because with fantasy, you can kind of do whatever you want. You get to make the laws of the universe. Like, you can do whatever you want. It's magic. But with paranormal mystery and slight magic, it's like there's limits and there's like rules, and you have to kind of adhere to physics, and it's just a little difficult to kind of figure out what is possible for them to do and what's not possible for them to do. So that was a unique challenge to this book specifically, but also trying to find a way to make things seem kind of scary and dark was kind of challenging for me. Like, I think things just either naturally get scary or they don't, but making a novel that is supposed to be focused on kind of the horror was very difficult for me because I'm not used to writing many horrific things, so. Well, thank you for watching today's video. I know it was kind of short, I don't know how long I talked, but if you're interested, I really hope you check out Witch in the Water. It is on Amazon. I can leave a link below, and I think it's a good read for Halloween. Just saying, personal opinion. But yeah, so get yourself a copy, and I will catch you next time, hopefully with some content that's a little bit different from self-promo and more focused on productivity or intentional living or writing or something else. But yeah, thanks.